tell you what.
All right, everyone, welcome to episode 143 of the Retic Lounge. I am Lucas, that is Nathan, and we are your hosts of the Retic Lounge. And Nate, we got a really cool episode that we're doing this week. It's been several weeks since our last recording, but we've been trying to get this interview locked down for about 2 weeks and finally got the time to. Guys, we have someone else over in the UK who's coming on, recording 10 p.m. Central Time, 4 a.m. over in the UK.
This is our third.
Our third. Yeah. No, that's wild. I appreciate their willingness to be up this early, or in Luke's case, stay up that late to record with us. But we have Sam with SSD Reticulated Pythons, or SSD Retics. But yeah, we're going to be jumping into a lot of cool conversation. Nate, you want to talk about what we're talking about today?
I think you know by the thumbnail already that we're going to be talking about just perseverance through tragedy. I think the one thing that kind of haunts every reptile keeper is the threat of fire when you're dealing with, all the heating sources and the stuff that it takes to maintain the husbandry of your animal. We've seen it countless times here in the US and the UK, all over the world, with reptile keepers having to deal with fire. So I think this will be an informative episode for anyone, and I'm excited just to hear the story and get a little bit of insight of what actually happened there.
Yeah, and then we're also going to jump into his YouTube channel. And for those of you that aren't aware of his YouTube channel, he's going to talk about it a bit. But I personally saw some of his videos, and I love it. In a world where everyone on YouTube I sound like a movie, like in a world where everyone on YouTube wants to sensationalize, right? They want to like just show the crazy videos and really like make being a Rita keeper look glamorous and really cool. He's doing like the mundane day-to-day cleaning shit, changing bedding. Like he's just like being real about it. And I don't think there's another YouTube channel out there that's doing that. So yeah, I'm excited to jump into what inspired him to do that.
I tried it for a little bit when I first got into the Retics, but I just never kept up on it. So
I just always forgot to put my phone on a tripod.
Yeah, I also got bit a few times when I was worrying too much about the camera. So I was like, yeah, screw this. I'm just going to maintain my animals.
Right. Before we go ahead and go any further, I do want to give a shout out to Cold Blooded Cafe. Please make sure that you are using our code Reptile Lounge 20 for free shipping on orders over $200. I want to give a shout out to Des at Cold Blooded Cafe. I just made another order. I know Nathan made another order. Yeah, if you guys are looking for your top-notch rodents that are produced here in America, look no further. They got you covered. They got quail, pigs, rabbits, you name it. They have it, throughout the year. So, Nate, you got anything else before we jump in?
No. I just want to add to that, quality of my rodents is always top notch. I'm always impressed when I get a Cold Blooded Cafe order. So, jump on over there, get some really good feeders for your animals, and have a little bit of confidence in where they're coming from.
Yeah. All right. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's bring Sam on.
Whether you've poured your heart and soul into your reptile business or you've just begun your business journey, AE Foundry has you covered with next-level expertise in graphic design, motion graphics, videography, photography, and so much more. If you've been dying for a new logo for your reptile business, motion graphics for your current logo, a new website, or need assistance making your video podcast come to life, then listen carefully. AE Foundry's mission places storytelling at its core. AE Foundry believes that a distinctive story and background are the driving forces that set your brand apart. In today's market, consumers seek more than just products. They crave a connection built on trust with the brands they cherish. AE Foundry is committed to empowering small businesses and fostering authenticity that resonates with their consumers. Reach out to them and let them help you craft a visual narrative that helps establish a genuine and lasting connection with your audience. To contact AE Foundry, email them at aromero@aefoundry.com or on Instagram at AE Foundry. When it comes to housing your retics, trust me, you're going to want an enclosure that will be just as strong and durable as your reticulated python. The Heartland reptile enclosure is next level tough and will outlive you and your retic by several generations. Heartland reptile enclosures are designed and manufactured out of powder-coated aluminum to provide the highest quality and longevity available in the reptile enclosure. What makes them even better is they are lighter than your PVC and plastic enclosures out there and are extremely tough. Stop playing around with plastic enclosures for your large constrictors and step up your enclosure game with the Heartland reptile enclosure. To inquire about one of these enclosures, speak to Jordan himself at Heartland Reptiles on Instagram, Facebook, and on TikTok. Here on TRL, we preach about the importance of using hooks, feeding tongs, and other tools with your reticulated python all the time. Animal Equipment by Stoney not only has all the tools you need for any snake you keep, but they have the absolute best hooks on the market. What sets Animal Equipment by Stoney's hooks apart from the other guys is their polycarbonate hook ends that provide a warm feel that won't disturb or bother your retic, ensuring a positive interaction from the get-go. Since 2008, AE Stoney has been supplying zoos, herpetologists, and other animal professionals with their tools. It's time for you to step your hook game up and buy an AE Stoney hook. To learn more and purchase one of their amazing products, visit aestoney.com.
How you doing,
what's
Sam?
going on?
Hello, how are we? Yeah, good, thank you. Good.
Yeah, doing well.
Doing well.
Are you rested?
Hopefully rested enough. We'll see how we go.
Yeah.
If I start mumbling nonsense in half an hour, 45 minutes, we'll just have to laugh and carry on.
Yep, that's what this podcast is. So
Exactly. Sam, do you mind just kind of, I guess your typical cliche, just podcast intro? Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got into reptiles, where retics came along, and why you decided to get the longest species of snake in the world?
Yeah, so like most of us, I think, I grew up and Steve Irwin had way too much of an effect on me as a child. I can't remember when exactly the reptile fascination started, but from like 4 years old, I was pretty obsessed. And luckily for me, a 60-second walk from my front door when I was about 4 years old, a shop opened called John's Ark that had a normal pet shop front, but in the back was just stacked full of vivariums, which was like a dream to me. I must have done his head in as a child, because I reckon I was in there every day, picking his brains and stuff. Just forcing a poor man trying to run a business to let me play with reptiles and obviously not pay a penny for it. And yeah, it was brilliant. And then the retic fascination's always kind of been there as well. I know my mum and dad mentioned it quite a lot. I can't have been older than 5 when I found out that everyone thought anacondas were the longest snake in the world, but actually it's reticulated pythons. That would be my icebreaker to every conversation with an adult I had, was what's the longest snake in the world? And then they'd be stuck in a rabbit hole with me just talking reptiles and fascination. And then, so I had the usual kind of reptile starter kind of thing. So it was a leopard gecko first, which we got from this pet shop down the road. I've no idea why my parents let me get it.
how old were you when they first caved and let you bring something home?
I think so. two tarantulas were first, and I can't have been much older than 4. But we'd gone to my school had a fair on, and in like a back room of this, they had a guy with a gopher snake, some tarantulas, and then he used to rescue random things. So I think there was like baby squirrels or something cool, something else weird. And I must have lost my mind and ground my parents down at this fair because they invited said fella to the house with a bunch of tarantulas like a couple of weeks later, where they bought a couple off him. And everything kind of snowballed from there. So then it was the leopard gecko. And so the guy at the pet shop had said, "Oh, this is a great starter reptile for your son. Can't really go wrong." And actually, I'm looking after one. Like, he was like boarding it at the shop, like an owner was going on holiday. He was taking it in. So when I get it, come down and we'll show you it. Well, this was the most vicious leopard gecko you've ever seen in your life. I can vividly remember the like 3 minutes of him holding it in front of us where he's dripping blood. But his little leopard gecko was just left to right, biting both of his hands. And he was trying really hard, to keep the fact that he sold us one of these going. And like, I promise you, they're not normally like this. And it was hilarious, losing blood.
Acting like a tokay.
Yeah. And this was quite a big leopard gecko as well. Like the one that I had never reached the size of this thing. It was almost like a bearded dragon in comparison. It was an absolute brute. So
just a special one.
Yeah, that was the like early days of my keeping. And then we discovered about 20 minutes from our house was a place called the Reptile Room. I don't know if you'll know who Dean Turner is just from me mentioning him, but he used to work a lot with Jay so he would import animals from Jay into the UK.
Okay.
And he was one of the bigger, like, old school breeders, if that makes sense. So he's one of the first to do a lot with retics, did a lot with berms. He was just 20 minutes down the road, and we discovered that his shop blew John's Ark out of the water. It was like a zoo. They had, there was a huge water monitor in a massive enclosure with a pond in there. There was the biggest berm I've ever seen in my life in a Viv. It was always just curled up, and it looked like it was, 6 foot from side to side when this thing was curled up. And it was like a J. Brewer thickness animal as well. It was a big, big gale berm.
Probably sent from Jay just over there.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff like in the UK that kickstarted the hobby was stuff from Jay.
Yeah.
So there's a high possibility that all that stuff was from him. So yeah, getting a bit older, I probably went to that shop once a week. My parents knew it was like a free hour where they could just let me like get rid of all my energy staring at animals, and they could just ignore me for a bit. So they'd take me there, I think. And then I ended up with a corn snake at about 8 or 9 years old. Nothing crazy. I think it was called a ghost corn at the time. I think now looking back at it, it was an anarthristic corn snake. So pretty cool. And then I kept a variety of inverts as well, all through my time growing up into my teenage years. A lot of praying mantis, some funky species of stick insects. And then kind of hit teenage years, and because we bought the animals in 2008, we didn't really know anything about husbandry at the time. We weren't recommended things that we now know are basics. So both of my first reptiles didn't have thermostats. It was just whatever heat that bulb got plugged straight into the wall was good enough.
that or the heat rock. Yep, right. I remember those days.
I don't know if heat rocks were as big of a thing here as they were in America. I can't remember them in my lifetime, fortunately. But the biggest issue with that was we used to blow bulbs constantly in the Vivs, and that's how I lost my corn snake at 17 years of age.
Oh man!
Yeah, it was Christmas time, and the bulb blew on Christmas Eve, and I was like, right, I'm gonna buy 2 bulbs. And bang, they both went on Christmas Day. And then the evening of Christmas, the house got too cold. And then that was me corn snake over with. So that was a rough day. And then like most reptile keepers, I think, through like leaving high school, college time, I did a little bit of time at university, but that wasn't really my thing. Reptiles weren't there.
Right.
The ones I'd had as a child had passed away, and then I didn't quite have the money to do what I'd want with reptiles. So you wait and you wait your time. And then, yeah, so how old would I have been? I think about 19, 20, I bought my first ever Retic. Got swindled a bit. I turned up to buy a hatchling super dwarf and left with something that was 4.5 foot long, and still not quite sure what had happened there. But it was a snake that had spent its entire time in like a 9-litre tub all of its life. I took it home and expecting a hatchling. I'd set up a tub for it, and it got back and I was like, I can't keep this thing in there. So bought it a vivarium, and then this snake hated me for it. It went from being puppy dog tame to you walk past the Viv, it's smashing the glass. You try and get him out, and he's running 100 mile an hour away. The minute he's out, he's weeing on you, striking, and that unsettled the people I lived with at the time. It was in the front room. Nobody could like be in there and the vivarium. And it all culminated in one day after work. I'd gone, right, we've got one chance here. We're going to start taming this fella down. We're just going to have to man up, get him out, and just like deal with it. And whilst doing that, this snake got away from me and got behind a radiator. So I had to shout my flatmate who's hiding upstairs. It hated this snake, hated Mr. Fluffy, what he was called, with a passion. And I've got, Owen, you're going to have to come down here. I need your help lifting this radiator off the wall so we can get the snake out. And you've never seen like a 19-stone man panicking like Owen did. We picked the radiator up. He's got a retic that's terrified, heading for his feet. He was squealing like a little girl. It was a moment. But yeah, so after that, I did have to sell Mr. Fluffy. Owen was ready for moving out, and so I kind of put the Retic dream on ice again. I was like, right, we weren't ready. We're gonna have to figure this out better. So a couple of years kind of went by. And I managed to talk my girlfriend, well, now fiance, into buying me a 6x2x2 vivarium for a birthday, and said nothing more. I just let that sit empty in the bedroom for a few weeks whilst I planned. I was planning hard. I'd recently, at that time, I'd seen cow retics for the first time, and I was like, there's so much cool shit I could get involved with here. I'm going to have a go. So without my now fiance knowing, I'd set up a little trip for us to go to Edinburgh. She'd never been. Beautiful historic city. And whilst we're on the way there, I added the caveat that we'd be going to pick up a retic on the way home. That's the entire reason we're going up. And I have actually foiled her with that plan twice. We'll get into that. We did another Edinburgh trip where I dropped it in that we'll be picking up 2 retics the next time.
Oh man, that's smart. That's smart. Like, how could you be upset after you just like went on a little trip?
yeah, took you out for the day. Beautiful historic castle. Took you for breakfast and dinner. Just on the way back, we just got to nip off into this little housing estate here. Don't worry about it. So I found
every trip now.
She checks my phone before we go away. Like, what are we actually doing here? And you're like, no, I promise, no reptiles this time. But there might be a shop we want to look in, because no reptile keeper can go anywhere new if there's a reptile shop there.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to have a look. You've got to go and bore the poor person on the counter with your reptile knowledge as well.
Right.
It has to be done. So they got my next first retic again, which was an 87.5% super dwarf tiger, and she was an absolute stunner. It was the best look at, and rose tinted glasses. We'll get onto that. Looking back at her, she was one of the better tigers that I've seen, especially in super dwarf. You know, like the dorsal pattern, them little bananas, they were all like connected together. They didn't blown out.
Nice.
and she was funky. And then I found out later on that there was a high chance that the SD percentage in her had come from the TK line of SD stuff. The guy that had produced her had imported quite a bit of TK stuff to the UK. So that was cool. And then, as it does for all retic keepers, it started snowballing. So I then bought like a project off someone, which was a 9-year-old 75% Kayawadi purple het snow. And with that, I bought it was less than a year old, but a Mochino GC het anery. And that was the obvious project together there. And then, yeah, I kind of tried getting her to cycle and got it all wrong the first 2 times. I actually got it so wrong on the second occasion I did it that the tiger that I bought started cycling. I have no idea. I changed nothing with her, and she just, the one snake I didn't want to cycle because at the time didn't have a male for. She'd never cycled before. She'd got to 9, and the people that had her before had like fed her quite small, and I think just feeding her a bit more, she hit like real woman size, and then she decided she was going to
went through the
start cycling. So I had to rush out and get a male, which I trawled the internet for days trying to find the right thing, and fortunately, somebody who had been quite a biggish breeder in the UK at that point. He was suffering the post-COVID blues with reptiles, which I think everyone did. When they hit him really hard. I went round to he had a phantom tiger anthrax mainland male for sale.
Ooh.
And I thought, anthrax, pretty sick.
Yep.
Super dwarf anthrax, be even sicker. Yep. So that's what I'm going to work on. Plus, it's got a couple of extra codoms in there. Like happy days, exciting little snakes. If I
think a super tiger anthrax would look sick.
Yeah, even the het anthrax stuff was phenomenal that came out of that one. But yeah, so first time round, terrified pairing them. Both snakes were the same size as well, which is infinitely more unsettling for some reason than big female, little male. And yeah, through like bit of luck and like bits and bats you pick up off the internet, and when you're reading any crap that anyone puts online trying to figure out what breeding is and what to do. So we ended up with a clutch from her. I think she laid 19 eggs. Half of them were slugs, and then only 3 went the distance. First time for me incubating, there was definitely lessons I learned from the first time. Things like getting the right amount of airflow in and temperatures. But yeah, we ended up with 3 hatchlings from that. One had a wobble, so that wasn't great, but the 2 of them were absolute pearlers. We had a phantom het anthrax female, and the super dwarf blood and the het anthrax make this almost awesome dorsally pattern on them. After I'd bought the phantom tiger anthrax, I can remember seeing that Rodney had made 50% Kalatoa phantom het anthraxes. I'm pretty sure at the same time, and I was so excited whilst I had these eggs in the incubator. Like, if they're going to look anything like that, like happy days. We're happy.
Oh yeah, I can sign that clutch for a little bit. But you know, the anthrax market is weird here. But yeah, those granite backs were amazing.
Yeah, sometimes as well with anthrax, them granite backs can almost be better than the full gene, and it's painful to say.
That clutch that Rodney produced, those granite backs were better than any marble I've seen.
Yeah, it's a crazy gene. Well, crazy gene for what it can do. He actually posted a video the other day, maybe, of some super dwarf het anthrax that is just. It was crazy looking, big thick blacks all down it, but speckled, and the pattern mashed to pieces. And yeah, everything about it said it wasn't super dwarf apart from the title on the video, so it kind of blew me away a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the story. So yes, the tiger clutch, the het anthrax clutch, 3 babies out of that. Really happy. And then like I was still kind of gently collecting retics here and there when I saw somebody either wanted to get out of the hobby or like misses had cracked down on them. I don't like the fact you've got a garage full of snakes. Get rid of some. I would try and turn up in them moments and get myself a good deal and B some more animals to progress what I was wanting to work towards. So the second Edinburgh trip that we went on, a guy had posted in a WhatsApp group. He had quite a few. I think there's 4 for sale in total, but the 2 that were really calling my name. Well, the one was calling my name first, and it was an 87.5% super dwarf het purple snow, and he was wanting pennies for it for what that animal should be worth. And if I was to tell you the prices he wanted for that, you guys will go crazy because of the price difference from here to America is.
Yeah, no. What was it?
I think he was asking maybe 300 or 400 quid for it, and I've knocked him down to 2. And then with it, I picked up a 37.5% super dwarf, 25% dwarf Mochino that was the sister to the golden child I had. And fortunately, knowing Luke, he told me that Mocha Annery's never been done. So I was like, oh, that'd have been cool. So there was another plan, hopefully, to get into there. But yeah, so we were growing quite a nice collection. We had some good variability. It was growing up some animals that I'd produced, which is really cool. And then randomly, this big purple het Annery female that I had refused a meal. I'd twice tried to get her to cycle for me, and just completely randomly, have I got a date on here for when she refused the meal? I can't figure out. I won't be able to figure it out, but it was just in the middle of nowhere. I tried cycling her maybe 3 or 4 months before, and I'd like ramped the food up a bit. Was never interested, and then just kind of left her alone. Went back to a normal, like every few weeks, giving her a feed, and then one day she took her like 5 minutes of staring at it to bonk it with her nose and just go, nah.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, and you're like, I racked my brain for a little while, and I was like, once the smell of rats has gone out of my room, that male's getting flung straight in there, and lo and behold, he's immediately arching. He'd gone completely animated, like they do. The heads twitch a little bit, the back's up. And on the other times where I'd put him in there and tried to cycle her, there was nothing, absolutely nothing from either party. And then she just, like, the females kind of look like they go to sleep, don't they, when the males are doing all the dancing. Bit embarrassed, I think. Yeah, so I got to watch that whole process again with a bit more understanding and a bit more knowledge, and that was really cool. We didn't have many failures in incubation, which was good. I'm just trying to see if I had any number. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was she laid about 25 eggs, and I think I had 19 hatch in total. But then that's kind of where this is all gonna link in with the rest of the story. So that they started hatching, it was around the 9th of November, and Snow Chinos, Garrett Hartle made a video on it, have a bit of a curse. Apparently he had a curse project.
Yeah.
And not that I want to feed into this at all, but I lost my father on the 9th of November, and through that evening I woke up the next day to a GC Snow Chino being sat outside of the egg in the incubator, and you're like, well, that's really, really fucking creepy. But it was a glad distraction from everything that had been going on at the time.
Yeah.
And over the next few weeks, as you guys will know, like more and more babies start crawling out. And then, so I think the first ones came out on day 80. That was when that was about November the 9th. And it got to about day 100 on the eggs, and I still had a box that hadn't hatched. And it's because for whatever reason, I hadn't put a thermometer in that one. The other 2 boxes in my incubator, I did. The bottom ones, I was kind of with the iffy looking eggs. I was like, they can go there. If they go, whatever. And yeah, they all hatched at day 100 with crazy patterns.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there was a purple albino or snow. I don't know now. It didn't develop enough for me to see, but it had like a sunfire dorsal pattern. It had like blown out the dorsal pattern all the way down this snake. It had a floaty like pattern over the tail. And then all the golden childs from this box had like rings on them down the backs instead of like just the speckled pattern.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was nuts. And then
did they make it? They hatched. They were good.
They all hatched and were good, but they didn't actually live that long because the next big event in my life was the fire. And that was the 8th or 9th of December. So pretty exactly a month after my father passing away, the snakes hatching.
Holy
shit.
A
fire. So I'd been playing rugby on the south coast of England on this Saturday. Let me just quickly add in, I'll sound a lot different to John and Luke that you've had on this podcast before. And that's because I'm from the best part of England, which is the north, and them boys are from the south. So I travelled from where I live, which was Kirby Lonsdale, to a place called Plymouth that is the south coast. It was 8 hours on a rugby coach. So we'd gone down there for a rugby game. I'd come back there Saturday night. I think I got home about 3 a.m. after I got off the coach and then driven from where the coach used to pick me up. And then at 6 a.m., the police kicked my door in. Yeah, the house is on fire. Everyone get out. I've half asleep, been in bed for 3 hours, got up naked, ran out the house. The police officer turned me around and was like, you can put your fucking clothes on and then you get out of the house. I've gone back in and I'd gone back into the house and you're like, I can smell the smoke, but the smoke wasn't coming from us. The fire had started in a connecting part of the building. So it started behind us. And funnily enough, that building had set on fire before. So at the time, I was kind of like, we've been through this before. Like, it's a lot smokier than last time, but I'm sure we'll be all right. I got in the snake room, shut the window, thinking, it'll be sound. We'll be back in. We'll be back in a couple of hours. And wasn't half an hour after I'd left the building that the fire brigade were shooting hoses through my bedroom window, trying to keep this fire like contained beneath my flat. And then, maybe an hour and a half later, the building had started to collapse. The fire was that bad. And I know a lot of people listening here will probably think like my animals come first. Like I'd save them. But when you realize that your entire home is seconds from disappearing, you realize that there's not a fucking chance you can take a retic or a group of retics you own and take them with you when your next stage is going to be homeless.
Yeah.
Like I had to get my mother-in-law to look to house us through this time. That's, a big enough ask without saying, I've got a couple of 6x2s and a couple of racks here. Like,
can I set them up in the garage?
Yeah. Like the only animal, unfortunately, that got out, fortunately got out was the dog we have. But you have that moment in there and you're looking like, what could I take? But
you didn't think you had time to put pants on, let alone unplug enclosures and start.
And then you rationalize it out a bit and you go, maybe we can grab. And then you're like, no, police are screaming at us. Probably best move. So unfortunately, I lost all of my previous animals. I do have the hope that it was a very quick passing for them. Once underneath where I used to live was an army shop, so it was full of like camping supplies, army surplus clothes, and all of that. And once the fire hit that, there was that many like butane canisters and stuff underneath it. And I think the floors collapsed pretty much instantly. And then, hopefully, fingers crossed and touch wood, the animals all passed without suffering. So yeah, that was pretty crap. So
Yeah,
that
no shit.
yeah, so that was Christmas just gone. So yeah, we had to find our feet for a little bit. Then out of the blue, a friend of mine offers me a house to move into. He's like, I've got it on the market. You can move in when you want. You can have it 3 months rent free. It's like awesome. Came and looked. It's where we are now. It's a beautiful little house. For the first time, we got like a driveway and a garden. We'd lived in flats before, so it was luxury we'd never known. And the first day when I come to meet him at the house, much to my fiance's dismay, was, yeah, if I wanted to get back into the reptiles and stuff, where'd you sit on that? And he's like, as long as whatever you bring to this house, you take away with you, I'm happy for you to do it. So there we go. We got the green light again.
Another trip.
Yeah, no, not this time. No, I really enjoyed the fact that reptile couriers have become a big business in the UK,
Right?
and everything just brought straight to me. Well, there was actually one big trip, but we'll get there. So I managed to convince the missus to go halves with me on a shed, so I wouldn't fill the house full of snakes. So if you've watched any of the YouTube channel, you'll know that's where I film everything. So yeah, I started. That was my mission then, was how can I get Retics back, and how can I do this better this time than I had before? Because as shit as it all was, I had a completely blank slate to start again. And the things that I'd realized, like 6x2s were good in the room I had, but for anything bigger than like 8 or 9 foot, you probably want a 6x3, that extra depth, and then anything longer you can go, it's more of a bonus. So I built, the first thing I did was build 7x3s in the shed, a stack of them. And at the time,
you built all the enclosures?
Yeah. I built. I only there's only 8 that are in there in the shed.
What are they made out of?
Just melamine, just
Awesome.
like furniture board stuff.
Yeah.
And then I used like 2x4s to support everything inside. I sealed a load of 2x4s.
That shit's heavy. Melamine? I bet those cages weigh a ton.
Yeah. They will not be coming out of that shed. Even when I leave, they will be getting left there. I'll rip all my electrics out, and then the landlord can figure out what he wants to do with that.
So when he said take everything, he wasn't including the enclosures.
It's just the animals.
I think the animals are the bigger issue. Yeah,
that's the concern there. Okay.
Yeah, he's from farming stock in the UK, and we don't have really any wild reptiles you're going to see ever. So they blow his mind and freak him out. So he's been in a couple of times, and he just says nothing about what he sees in there. He never mentions it. So I don't know if he's secretly interested or petrified, but either way, I'm not going to find out. So we built the vivariums out of melamine. Fortunately, a lad I play rugby with, his father-in-law is a joiner, so he works with wood. So I said, if I buy all this stuff, can you cut it all to size for me and just deliver it one day? And he was like, yeah, absolutely no bother. So I paid like £500 for all the wood, and then after a couple of days it arrived at my house all cut and ready. And within that 500 quid's worth of wood was 3 7x3s and I think 5 5x2 by 1 foot tall vivs.
It's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying them.
Oh, you're looking at 500 quid for a 7x3 if you're lucky.
Yeah,
if you're lucky. Yeah, that is the one thing that is probably still similar priced across the pond is the vivariums are not cheap. They are not cheap, especially once you start looking into plastic ones too, which I debated, and I couldn't justify spending the money.
No, I mean, they're expensive here. If you want like an ABS plastic enclosure here, that's chemically welded together, great type of enclosure and everything, but you want to, and you want it shipped to you, it's going to cost you, for a 7x3, probably 2,000.
I was going to say 25 to 3.
2,500. I mean, today I haven't bought in a cage in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever buy from somebody again for vivariums. I think I'll just like man up and take the fact that it's a bit of a chore and a bit of hard work, but It's so much cheaper for me anyway. I am actually a builder. It is what I do for work.
Yeah.
So I have got all the tools and some of the knowledge to get it all done. But yeah, so we started building the shed up. Building 7x3s and then 8x10 shed was horrible. You had to move them every time I wanted to screw things in one side to the other. I'd have to move all. It took me about 3 weeks to build these 3 vivs in a stack because I could do maybe an hour and a half at a time at most before your head would fall off.
Yeah.
You just get so angry. You couldn't fit the drill where you needed it, so you're having to writhe the thing around.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like you're working on cars a bit. It's like
it felt like that.
Sounds like you were building in the shed too. It wasn't something you could just like move casually into the shed after.
Can't pick up and put into that shed.
No, the door's only just over 2 foot wide, so the 7x3s weren't squeezing in. We did build a stack of 5x2s outside. I enlisted the help of the father-in-law. He came down. We had a great day and got it all thrown together in. In comparison, it felt like minutes. It was maybe a couple of hours work, and we built a full stack and run the electrics through and everything and carried them in there. Like compared to them 7x3s, they took my soul. I really debated, like, do I love Retics this much while I was building them, sweating in there in this little insulated shed that was like a sun trap, like at the beginning. And obviously you work in a little insulated room for long enough, you start heating the room up. Oh, it was fun. So we built the vivs, and somewhere in and around me building these vivariums, I got approached in a supermarket by someone that knew me vaguely. They knew about the fire, so they made sure I was all right. And they go, listen, I know it's really weird to ask, but I know you like the reptile guy. I was like, right. He's like, my brother's going away to work on the oil rigs. So he's got, I think it's a rat snake and some kind of gecko. Do you want him? And I was like, does he want any money for him? He's like, no, he just wants him to go to a good home. So I was like, I probably won't keep them forever, but right now they'd be a very welcome distraction at home. It was the first time in quite a few years that I hadn't had reptiles, and we still got the gecko. Turned out to be an African fat-tailed gecko. He's really cool. He's just next to me, called Rusty. Big fan. The rat snake wasn't for me. Retics are messy. Colubrids are another breed of messy.
Yeah.
Like, I've never experienced anything like it.
They shit everywhere.
Everywhere. And then I put it on newspaper to start with, like I would have retic in my rack. He came in a tiny Viv, and he was like, there's more room in my 70-litre rack that's next to me than in your Viv, so I'll put you in here. And every day, within about 20 minutes, he'll have screwed all of his paper up into his water bowl and then like paper mache'd it around everywhere. And you're like, how have you done this again? And then you'd open it up and it's wet and it stinks. So after, I think I only had him 6 or 8 months, and that was mine in the rat snakes, time to part ways. I found a girl that had a few reptiles, and she was building up a nice little collection of different bits. So I was like, I'll come and drop it off. You don't have to give me any money for it. He is a cool snake. He just needs to be with someone that's going to appreciate him, because he just does my head in. And then like colubrids and regurging as well. I remember I'd fed him, and he absolutely trashed the rack within a couple of hours of me feeding him. So I waited for the next day, really gently moved him out of the tub, sorted everything out, put him back in. 5 minutes later, he regurged this rat. Oh. And that is just, it stunk the front room out.
That's not a smell anyone wants to experience.
Yeah, and it's not something I'd ever dealt with before. Even with the colubrid I had as a kid, we never had that issue. Retics, I haven't had an issue with that yet. I don't know how common it is in them, but I don't think it's as common. I've had to handle retics like hours after feeding sometimes. For one reason or another, they've trashed something, they've flipped a water bowl, the flood in the snake room. And they always dealt with it all right. So I thought, it's another snake. It'll be easy. Nah, we've got to smell that nastiness. We moved the rat snake on, and that was, roughly the time we'd got all the big Vivs sorted. All the shed was pretty much there. Started buying glass for the smaller Vivs. And that's when Lukey Boy, who is no stranger to the podcast, he sent me
Barney Boy.
What was supposed to be no bigger a 14-foot anthrax female. There was every bit of 16 foot and possibly more when it turned up. She was an absolute bruiser. And you know, no, if so, I probably would have built bigger Vivs if I had the space and knew she was coming. But 14 foot to me in a 7x3 would have been pretty good. 16 foot's a little bit of a squeeze, so she does get plenty of garden time now she's here. But the going from keeping super dwarf stuff to a mainland is
mainlands are a different beast, man.
It's a whole different world.
Completely different. When I first got her here, Luke had told me she was a bit grumpy, and that was not the vibe I got off her. She was like a puppy dog for first few months here. So much so, fortunately for me, my mum is a massive animal lover, and that kind of comes in reptiles too. She's upset every time she comes around. She's opening my rack up, looking at stuff. When we first got the anthrax female, remember I'd open the Viv up and I was like, I'll just move her over. I won't get her out because she's too big. And my mother's not a big, like, she's not a strong woman. She would try and get involved and it wouldn't go well. But in the action of me opening the Viv for my mum, she bloody sticks her head in there behind me. And I'd say, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, well, I can't see her. She was in a hide at the time. I was like, right, please just wait for me to get her moving. Do not stick your head in there because that is a thing that could quite easily kill the pair of us if it wanted to. Yeah. Going from the biggest snake I kept before was the snow. That's 75% Kayawadi snow, and she was 13 foot. And a 13-foot super dwarf is fast enough to be an absolute pain in the ass when you're handling them.
Yeah.
Compared to the mainlands that are a bit slower and plod along, but are just so much stronger. So I was like, I'm not 100% comfortable handling it yet, Mum. Please do not be sticking your head in there. And on the same courier shipment we got the anthrax on, I got, do you know who Ollie Wilkie is? He made, the Aztec.
Ollie's got my favorite looking Aztec in the world.
His Aztecs are nuts. They make no sense at all. And
no, they're gorgeous. Every single time I see an Aztec clutch produced, I'm disappointed because it doesn't look like his.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that combination of Aztec and it must be the specific sunfire he's used.
Yeah.
But they just match up so well to make these yellow golden snakes with big, thick, black dorsal patterns.
With amazing head patterns. Yeah, they're phenomenal.
Yeah, I'd been begging him for months for a snake before the fire. And that was what I was gunning for. So the 87.5% het snow I'd picked up before the fire had started coming into her first season, and I had been blowing his phone up like, can I buy one or can you lend me one? Like, we'll split the babies. There'll be super dwarf percentage, which is something you want to get in down the line. I'm helping you out, but he would never budge. Never budged for me. And then after the fire, he was like, listen, we're not going to keep this going anymore. He's like, he offered me one. And I was like, yeah, awesome. All of them from that clutch to me were all amazing. And then he was like, he rang me up one day and he's like, listen, I feel a bit bad. The one I've offered you might actually be the worst one I've got left. So I'm going to send you a different one. And I was like, hey, if you, the Aztec man,
whatever
UK,
you want to send me,
I will take. So I got both the anthrax and the Aztec. They didn't charge me for, obviously, what had gone on before the fire. And they're two pretty good friends of mine. I think Luke's alluded to it before. We have a group chat. There's 4 of us that are like 4 of the more sound keepers in the UK. Because you boys will know it's a nightmare trying to keep friends in the reptile hobby.
Yeah.
They're either backstabbing or, jealousy comes in there and just ruins everything. Absolutely ruins everything. So, yeah, we started building the collection back up with Big Ann. So the anthrax named Ann, obviously. And then the Aztec Ringo, because he looks like a little yellow submarine. And obviously the rings down his back. And then another guest of yours, John Edwards, got in touch with me. I'd known John for a little bit, not like very well, but we'd met at a few shows. He knows Luke extremely well. Another lad, Joseph Hegarty, that's in our group, who does a lot of marble stuff here. He knows John quite well. And through them two got introduced. And yeah, John got in touch. And he's like, it's horrible what's happened for you. Just as I was kind of building up everything to start selling things and whatever. And he's like, I've got a few animals that you can You can borrow a couple. I'll give you one. So I was like, awesome. I'd love that. John's been a staple of the super dwarf and dwarf hobby in the UK forever. So anything that he wanted to give me, I was all game for. So I ended up getting 50% dwarf, unknown dwarf, Sunfire Het albino. Off the top of my head right now, I can't remember which albino it is, but it's a Clark strain. And the parents of that had come over on the first Retic shipment from the US to the UK. I think the mother was from Prehistoric Pets and the father was from Bob Clark.
I'm pretty sure it's Het Purple. I think he was working with Purple, and I remember from the interview that he had produced a purple.
Yeah, it probably is. So we've got her. He then gave me one of his own another one of his own productions, which is a 75% Super Dwarf Amaretto, and that thing is gorgeous. In the shed, just by chance, I've got cheap like strip LED lights in there. It makes her look phenomenal. It darkens up all the like yellowies to oranges and reds, and she looks absolutely nuts in there. And then the final animal that he lent to me, which seemed like a great idea at the time, and then in practicality is a lot more difficult, was his wild caught ghost. He's only been in captivity maybe 3 years. He's 9 to 10 foot of hatred for humans.
You want to know what's crazy is the original ghosts that were imported to the US years and years ago were also insane.
Yeah, this guy is nuts. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but he is that mental. I've built a like a shift box that venomous keepers use for him, just because it's easier for the pair of us. The issues come when he poos and pisses inside the box. I've got to get him out to clean.
Yep.
But other than that, like, we get along as long as I don't have to touch him. I've only
correct me if I'm wrong. He's one of the only ghosts out there, right?
The only ghost.
The only in the UK,
The only visual ghost here, yeah. There's a pair of hets somewhere. A guy's had them forever. Never thought about breeding them. Randomly bred them the other year. Made ghosts, but didn't know about the whole egg cutting thing with ghosts. If you guys know,
they have a curse.
Yeah, so you cut the eggs, then babies shoot out and die for whatever reason it is. So yes, that's what happened there. They cut the eggs like most of us would have done if you didn't know about ghosts, which in the UK, no one knows. We don't have them.
Yep.
And they all passed away, unfortunately. So he is right now the only visual ghost and wild caught. So possibly it is a new line of ghost. So even cooler. If he wasn't such a cool animal, I'd probably send him back to John. he's absolute hell to deal with.
But that's an animal that's like an honor to be able to try to do something with.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's to most people. If I explain it on the face of it, just that I've got this wild caught white snake in my shed that hates me. He's a right pain in my ass. Why have you got him? And then you go into, well, actually, ghosts are a very specific group of albino that tend to only be found around one city in Sumatra. And that makes it even cooler again. And then the fact that it doesn't work with any other albino, it's not, you can't make any other forms of albino with it. It's just ghost is also pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So
it's my favorite.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to where we are now.
You want to know what's awesome is this little community that you've made within the reptile community. Just having your back after, a horrible December and November, and finally getting back on your feet, having people in the community that just said like, hey, I'm going to help you out.
It was amazing.
You don't see it happen all the time. And it's nice to, especially here in the US when there's so much crap that goes on, especially in the Retic community. It's just nice to hear one of these type of stories.
Yeah, 100%. The UK Retic scene is very reminiscent of the Retic scene over there with you guys. Like, there is weekly fallout within like group chats or pages on Facebook. someone's always firing at somebody else. Somebody always doesn't like what someone else has done or how they do it. And just the same stuff that really, like, at the heart of it should confuse the hell out of all of us reptile lovers of why we can't just fucking get along. Like, we like these weird scaly animals. Most people think we're freaks. You're just adding to the fire here, making everyone else realize that it is, for the most part, it can be quite a shit hobby and like thing to be in, because every 5 minutes there's new drama, there's new beef. Someone sold a dying animal. Someone's got this in their collection. Someone's got that. And can we not just go, I like your animals, I like yours, or you like mine? Sweet. That's as far as it ever really needs to go.
It
a
does
general
not need to go
gratitude
further.
of there being other people like us, as far as I like to take it. I stay out of those groups just because I'm like,
Yeah.
It's been
we can't just cheer each other on, so I'm going to sit at the sidelines.
I have been so unplugged on Facebook snake groups, and it has been the best 3 months of my life.
Yeah.
Like,
if it wasn't for my boys and us kind of laughing at everything that goes on in these groups, I'd be completely unplugged from it because I don't care enough. I love my reptiles. I don't really care for yours as much. And if it's going to cause that much of an issue, then happy days. Like, that's the best approach for me to have. So yeah, that's like I said previously, that brings us into the current state of affairs. So I've obviously got,
real quick, I want to know in your current state of affairs, you talked about some of the animals that you have. I guess getting a fresh slate and getting to start new, where's your focus? Where's your direction going? What are you really hoping to capitalize on? Because I know Luke's got some amazing stuff in the works and pretty awesome animals, and just I'm curious where your aim and your direction, where your niche is lying.
So for me, my biggest one, the like my main focus, which is was the main focus before, it's shrinking down anthrax. Like, that for me is a massive thing. I love what anthrax does to animals. I love the hets and I love the visuals. So I want to make super dwarf anthrax. That's what we're building towards. I've now been given, as previously mentioned, this amazing opportunity to work with a fresh line of Retic Ghost. So I'd be stupid not to make anthrax ghosts before I shrink it down, because what's even cooler than a super dwarf ghost is a super dwarf anthrax.
Yeah,
It's a super dwarf anthrax ghost, and it's also a double recessive. To be able to work that into super dwarf as quickly as I could will be bloody awesome.
My employee has an anthrax ghost. I was able to work out a deal with a buddy of mine, and I was able to get him one for a great deal. And as far as visually appealing snakes that have been in the lab here in my garage, I think that's by far the nicest snake that I've ever had the pleasure of being able to hold.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of like the albino the albino anthrax stuff is crazy. Like, you see that Indo Silverline Mochino stuff as well.
It looks insane.
It's crazy
with the black eyes too from the anthrax. It's so wild.
Yeah, and that like really nice silvery light grey body, and then where the anthrax has broken up all that pattern into little dots and stripes.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. So that's the main of my project. I've got a few other bits that are going to come in down the line, but that's like first things first for me is going to be working to make visual anthrax ghosts, and then the shrinking down process. So I'm still on the lookout for a good locality female, but I'm in no rush. I can wait until the right animal's about. Fortunately, in the UK, unlike the US, these things pop up, I think, a bit more frequently here. Like, there's probably the chance to own some form of lineages aren't always the best, but there's some form of super dwarf you can pick up probably most months. A new one will come for sale. I just haven't seen what I'd like yet. John's been talking to some people out in Europe and Asia.
I was gonna say, just wait for John to bring some shit in. He's working on it.
That's kind of what I'm doing. He's picked up I think it's two Madus from Europe recently.
Yeah.
And these things have got like head stamps and they're nuts. They've got these like dots on the head. These animals look crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I really hope that the lineages and stuff on them add up, and there's a chance that I might be. He's importing some either wild caught or farmed Madus as well. So we might do a little deal with I take one for wild caught / farmed animal and one of these captive bred ones or whatever. And then obviously I've got an amazing Aztec Sunfire in the shed.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like to get that in an Amaretto Aztec. I think that would be phenomenal. I've fortunately
just to rub in the US keeper's face.
Yeah, well, we've also we can still import as well, and that's another one to take the mick out of you boys for.
Oh yeah,
which I think that's one of the big things that keeps the price of retics down here massively is the fact we have got kind of open borders to Asia and Europe where there's a lot of this stuff. So it's pros and cons, I suppose.
We can. It just happens a lot slower.
Yeah, a lot sneakier.
Yeah, just like how we just popped up T negative rock pythons.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a project that I almost got into. The guy I got that super dwarf tiger off that restarted this whole love story with retics. It was his mum that had the wild caught male.
Oh wow.
His mother, a woman called Susie Robb, who was quite a big royal python breeder, ball python to you guys. She had this albino afrock in a little like breeding colony of them. And then she had like some super dwarf stuff. And that's who I went up and saw. And he showed me that the only albino afrock on the planet. And then months later, I'd kind of got somewhat to capacity with retics at that point. He'd like messaging me like, what could you afford to pay for this? I know you love the animals. I would just like them to go to someone who'll appreciate them for what they are. And if I'd have had the space, I could have ended up with the full albino afro project for a few £100, including wraps and vivariums.
Jeez.
I just didn't have the room for it, unfortunately. But then there's been some weirdness with that whole Afrock project. All the ones in the UK, especially the females, all seem to have like a reproductive issue.
Okay.
They haven't bred here. They won't breed for the people that, well, up until quite recently, I think someone has had some success with them. But there was like a few rumors floating around that they'd been too lightly fed while they were younger and it had affected their development and stuff. And you know, the usual reptile conspiracy theories that the whole hobby comes up with.
Right.
But then, Mr. Clark's blown it out the water, hasn't he? And he's actually produced them in captivity. So fair play to him.
Yeah, no, he produced those. And then I think it was literally just a few days later, there's a T positive albino that was produced overseas somewhere. Yeah, really, really cool stuff. I think it's a cool python species to start to see albino come through.
It is. There's but then again, it's got all the same issues that super dwarf retics have. Because I can remember saying to the guy at the time, the only problem for me with afrocs was I think they'll get too big. They're a bigger, heavier bodied snake.
Yeah, they're real heavy.
And the guy, so Susie Robb's son had told me, but you see these captive bred ones that we've got, they don't seem to exceed a certain length. And I was like, I kind of bought into it, and then months and months down the line, I ended up speaking to a guy who got a pair off him, and he's like, I can't get them to breed. Like, what have you done to get success with your retic? So we've gone through it all. And I was like, oh, just out of interest, how big are they both now? And he's like, the male's about 9.5 foot and the female's well over 12. And you're like, I was told that these things weren't going to break 8 foot not 6 months ago. And I was quite glad that I didn't actually pick up the project purely on that alone, because I'd have had big snakes everywhere, which, as much as I love them, it's a bloody lot of work.
It is.
Watching the attitudes, especially with old Luke on some of our Discord meetings with his Afrock, it's not a project that is for the faint of heart either.
No, they could be a handful.
They can. The only things you see kind of in the UK hobby of Afrocs as well is them being big, quite nasty things. Up until finding out about the albino one, the only time I'd seen it posted in groups was a rescue that had one. And every time there was a picture with it, it was the guy who had the rescue having to hold it behind the head with like a team, the rest of the team walking it through the place because this thing clearly hated people, hated being messed with.
Poor Snake. Just wants to be left alone.
Yeah. That's the relationship me and the ghost have now. I understand he wants to be left alone. Another little funny story. I told John the big idea before I'd even thought about starting a YouTube channel, that I was possibly going to try and film some interactions with the ghost just to see if I could document whether there could be any taming down of them, like just to show, we'll get onto my channel, but I just wanted a real world view of what it's like working with these animals. And the first time I did it, which is on the channel, he was in shed, so he was so it'll be that first video there. He's in shed, so he's a lot more chilled out in that particular video.
Hello everyone.
And then a few weeks after that, I thought, he's finished shedding, I need to clean him out. We'll get him out again. So we did everything exactly how I did here, apart from the ghost this time bolted, ran straight into the shed and managed to get himself down like a 3-inch gap behind the big Vivs. And so for 5 days, I had that fella in that little box there who hates my guts just free roaming the shed, which
that's not a good feeling when you need to go in.
No.
Now tell me that cover on your arms for a new tattoo and not
Yes, no, fortunately, the ghost hadn't got hold of me.
Okay, good deal.
I was just getting some filling done on there. So I tried getting him out. I've got it on video. I don't think I'll ever post it, but he bolts into the shed, and in my head, I know the shed's escape proof. I'm all calm about it. I've got hold of his tail. He goes to wee on me. We're not dealing with that today. So I let go of his tail. He weed everywhere, and then within seconds, bang, he's behind these Vivs. And I tried 3 times to catch him because I can't move the 7x3s that are in there.
Look at his head. He's cocked back, like ready to go.
That's his go-to. It's something I mentioned in that video. To survive as long in the wild as he did, looking like that, he has got to know how to defend himself, because there is not a chance he's hiding.
No, he's not hiding anywhere. He's not blending in. No, there's no shot.
No, but so he doesn't enjoy being dealt with, as you'll probably see whilst this plays over. In the video, I'm quite conscious of the fact that you get people like Kevin McCurley who post videos of them dealing with hard to work retics, and he's another level of handling these things. Now I was trying to make it clear that I have not got the skin in the game that he has. I have not been working with animals that want to murder me for he could have been
20,
doing this
30 years.
30 odd years. I just want this process to be as stress-free for the pair of us as we can. So I try and let him make his own decisions, and then hopefully trick him at some point in getting in that little box and having a bath, which he does do. But the ghost's been great fun.
Dude, every time you move, he's tracking you.
Oh yeah, and he's deep in blue here. He can't see a bloody thing.
Oh yeah, no, that.
Yeah. And that's why he's so much more. This is him chilled out. That's the other thing. Like, the time I got him out and he wasn't in shed, the speed he got away from me at, I couldn't believe it. I know retics are fast and snakes can move quick, but how the hell he moves like that with no legs is beyond me.
He jumped.
So me and him have still got a few things to work out. But 3 times it took me to try and trap him. Within a day of him escaping, I'd put CCTV up in the shed so I could track his movements.
I've done that.
If I were you, he's got his own cleaning day, his own feeding day. Like I'm because I know that if he gets out, I'm going to be spending the rest of that day trying to get him in.
Yeah, so I just kind of had to give up almost on getting him in. There's no way I could get to him.
By the way, he's a perfect example of ghost.
Oh yeah, phenomenal! I couldn't believe the color difference in a ghost.
No,
it's just a normal albino.
It's not white. It's that bone.
Yeah,
type of
it
like
is. It's almost got like a salmony pink hue to him.
yeah.
Weird. And then he's got, I don't know if it's typical on all ghosts, but the further down his body, his pattern gets thicker and bolder.
Yeah.
So from his head, it's almost less than a scale thick, them like dark purpley almost colours. And they build down his back to this wide, almost sunfire like dorsal pattern that's all blown out. It doesn't connect. And then like it gets to like 4 scales thick, all the dark colours down near the tail. It's really something different. But yeah, we finally got him back in.
I was gonna say he was doing okay. You grabbed his tail. He wasn't oftentimes when you have a nervous snake like that I try to do is like you just tried to do, I try to get their tail in the tub, because oftentimes they'll wrap the tub and anchor in there, and then I can latch them in and I can maneuver them in. But yeah, no, he's putting up a good.
Oh yeah, he puts it, but then all of a sudden, once he realizes there's a dark, warm hole here full of water, and I get his head in, he just flies in because he wants nothing to do with me. He knows he can hide in there.
Yeah.
I think one of the funniest things I've dealt with the ghost is, so Joseph Hegarty, a really good friend of mine. We talk about it, and Joe's got a wild caught Calatoa, but that thing is the most placid wild caught snake that's ever existed. And he's often said, like, when there'll be like a brief moment when I start interacting with the ghost where he does try and run, and he's like, "Why don't you just pick him up then?" And it's like with a normal retic, like that would be fine. With Anne, who's can be a bit of an ass to deal with, as soon as she starts running, I am pretty much safe to pick her up. Like, Joe, what do you think is going to happen when he's in my hands? Like, he'll quickly realize he's not running anymore, and then the next thing he's coming for is this big hot thing that's holding onto his tail.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've been having some fun with that guy. He got 3 rats whilst he was out of his viv. I thought twice, if I put rats in the furthest end from like the open glass in his viv, he might just go back into his little lockbox hide because he likes it in there. He knows it's safe. Nah, he'd figured me out straight away. Even though I'd only left maybe that much of the glass open, he would get these rats and you could see him like hot tail it out of there on the CCTV. He was getting behind there to eat. But when a night when we'd previously planned to record, it was a Friday night, I'd had a rugby game, so I knew I was going to be awake all night in pain, full of caffeine. It's not happening. So I was like, we're gonna stake him out tonight. I'm gonna track him on CCTV. I need to feed the girls I want to breed in the shed, get all the smells in there. We're gonna put another rat in, and we're gonna have to get him this time. And I thought, he's had 2 rats this week. Like, he's not gonna move.
Nope.
Like, he's gonna be content with what he's eaten. But in the back of my mind, I was hopeful that, this guy's wild. He's food that hopefully the call of food should be like an overriding thing to him where he's going to go for it. And lo and behold, by the time I got from my shed to the kitchen and opened the CCTV, his head was peeking out from behind the viv, smelling everything. And it wasn't 5 minutes later, he'd 3/4 climbed into the viv, and I managed to tickle his tail and shut the glass. And I called him some choice words after that. The emotions were high. I was very happy. But yeah, I was glad we ended the escapade.
So when I got my first wild caught snake, something that I've done with animals that are hard and difficult to manage and move, and this is how I build a really good trusting relationship with my wild caught Calatoa, because when I got her, she was not a happy camper, and now she's a snake I'll hand to anybody. But the only time I removed her from her enclosure for the better part of the first 8 months I had her, after I tried to get her out normally, I would just feed her 2 smaller meals at a time. So I feed her 1 meal, she bites, she wraps, I pick up her coils, I drop her in a holding container, I clean her enclosure, give her fresh water, and then I open it up and I offer her the second small meal, she bites, she wraps, I pick her up and I put her in the enclosure, and that was every single interaction for 8 months.
I thought I could get away with the same thing with the feisty male joker that I bred with on my first go around, but there were a couple times where you gave him that first meal, and then you'd pick him up and he'd forget that he was eating and make sure that he was like focused on what was touching him. So I wonder if we'd get a similar response.
That happened to me, and fortunately for me, just like how I would pick her up was I'd grab like the base and grab under her. So if she did let go, she was still tightly coiled around the animal that she really didn't have leverage to come at me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I possibly lucked out. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. That happened with my big ass Slayer here. She jumped halfway out the enclosure, missed the rabbit, came at me. You know, she went ahead and bit and wrapped and everything. And then Sean went to go pick her up and put her there. And when he picked her up, I had to tell her, I'm like, hey, she let go. Like, her head's right around the corner. Watch out.
Yeah, I've tried doing meals to move snakes. When the anthrax first started, her feed response went through the roof. Tried it with her, and I just did not enjoy the experience of, like in the back of my head, I don't want them to, like, the retics already associate me with food. Like, they associate that keeper moving the glass with food.
Mm-hmm.
I almost don't want to add into that anymore. And then the anthrax, so she's a big thing. I was feeding the small rabbits when I'd move her. She'd only ever grab a fucking ear or something, or a leg.
Yep.
And so, like, you're trying to, I would be like flinging her back in the viv. Like, if that slips out your mouth, we are in like hot water here.
Yep.
Yeah, for some reason, for such a big, powerful animal, she takes food so daintily and always takes the smallest part of it off you.
See, now that's a sweet retic.
Yeah, but then violently wraps it. She wraps it, and you can hear every bit of the viv thud when she bang, bang, bang as she coils round. Like, so yeah, most of the time she is sweet as pie. But then, yeah, you have your moments where she decides. Well, occasionally she started tail wagging with me at the minute when I've tried pulling her out. So I think she thinks I'm another male trying to court her. And that confuses the heck out of me. And normally, if she tail wags her arches while I'm touching her to pull her out, it's followed by a big strike at the glass. So, that was what had caused me to try the rabbits. And then I decided I've just got to man up and deal with it and get her out.
That girl's pattern is nice.
Yeah, the Sunfire, she's lovely. I was never really big into Sunfire stuff. Like, I'd only ever seen it in gene stacked animals.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's perfect for those gene stacked animals. It's one of the best codoms, in my opinion, to throw into your project.
And I wasn't big on them either. It's been more recent over the last couple of years where I've fallen in love with them.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I saw some that Ollie Wilkie had made, and they're up there with his Aztec sons. Like, these things are so like crisp and clean and so good looking. He made some Mochino sons recently, and
I just produced my first the 50% Slayer, Sunfire, and Sun Tiger clutch. And man, they're now, I don't know, they're about to be 5 months old, maybe 6 months old, and they're starting to come into their color. And they look insane. Yeah, they're just orange.
Yeah, no, it isn't. It's an awesome gene to see as like a standalone thing. After, like, for the most part, it's been years of seeing albino Sunfires and albino this, that, and the other Sunfire, and you know, when you know what you're looking at, it's quite impressive. But until you know what a good Sunfire can look like, it was just completely wasted on me. Like, oh, it's another this, that, and the other Sunfire. It's an orange or yellow snake. Like, so yeah, and so with the suppose getting onto the YouTube channel, I've been a reptile content like consumer all my life. So as a child, it was Steve Irwin, Austin Stevens. Anytime they were on the telly, like, it had to be on. I'll have watched every show that them two have made countless times. And then, like, getting older, I saw like Reach Out Reptiles when they started. I've always been like a nerd watcher, even when I didn't have reptiles. I'd watch Kevin McCurley's videos, and there's a few venomous guys from the States that I enjoy watching as well. And the one thing that I found as my retic keeping became more like serious and me being more specific was there's just And as weird as it is, like, I just want to see people dealing with their retics. Like, I'm not too interested in like watching Jay Brewer pull eggs off of like another giant snake that's trying to bite him, or watching him cut open eggs to try and hit the odds. Like, they're the fun bits for me, but now I've done them, I'm not that interested in other people doing it. I kind of like, I would want to see how everyone else does their day to day, because that is the main part of the hobby for all of us, unless, you don't know, you've got some crazy bioactive setup where with dung beetles, so you never have to clean them out. Like, other than that, like, that is what the hobby is. It's like feeding. Like, when you're breeding females, it's feeding fairly regular. Otherwise, it's not that regular. And these things piss like horses and shit like you can't even believe.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some form of urate appears in a viv every day.
Every day.
Every day. And yeah, sometimes you're lucky and it's one of them that when the snake's not looking, you can pull it out of there and everything's hunky-dory and back to normal. And other days it is just a full viv of destruction.
Yep.
Europe. I know I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
But
No, that's 98% of what we deal with, if not more.
Piss.
yeah, so like you guys, you thought about doing it before, and yeah, I just bought a tripod, and when there's someone around to help me, I'll get them to film a bit. Like here, the more recent video I'm editing at the minute, I've just tried doing it with just the tripod and moved it around and see what we can see. I am trying to develop the videos a bit more. So far it is just me cleaning, and then it's like gonna hopefully turn to me cleaning and talking about pairing. And then I will do videos when I'm pairing animals, talking about what I look for before you put them together, while you're putting them together, when's the time to separate them and stuff.
It basically just like talking out loud of what we're going through in our head and our step-by-step process, which I like. It's a day in the life of keeping and breeding retics.
Yeah, that's it. And if nothing else, if the channel becomes nothing else, it's a really good way of me documenting what I do for when people want to buy animals off me. Like, you're interested in this? Well, go to such a video and you'll see both the parents. And there's no way I can lie about what the parents are either. Like, it's there
There's
playing
that
in front of you.
Aztec.
Yeah, so
You
he
gotta
doesn't
be
come up as well in
kidding me.
the LED light as this Amaretto does.
Oh my
But
gosh.
he's a phenomenal animal.
I can tell that's one of Ollie's.
And yeah, there you go. Once I get him outside, he's a completely different color.
Yeah, he's yellow. Oh
Yeah.
man.
But he's phenomenal.
Look at the white
Absolutely.
rosettes on the side. They wrap around almost towards the tail. Holy shit.
And some of the best blacks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
so thick. The blacks are so thick and dark. It's phenomenal. It's almost, for people that don't understand like reptiles, hard to believe that he's not albino. He's that yellow. Like, my mum was convinced that was an albino retic.
Yeah, no.
Convinced. I was like, I thought it can't be because he's got black in him. But I do understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Because they're never normally that yellow. He looks a bit green there in the tub, but yeah, he's a phenomenal animal. Really impressive. Really impressive.
I'm at this point in, my retic breeding, I'm very rarely jealous of someone else's retic, but that's
yeah.
that's
And also
really
rarely
beautiful
jealous
snake.
of a double codon.
Right.
It's not what we strive for mainly. It's always multiple recessives, and that's what we show off. But that thing's hard to beat.
Yeah, no, it doesn't get too much better.
What's his other codom again? Sorry.
Sunfire?
Sunfire. Okay. Yeah.
But also, there's been other Aztec sons that look nothing like him.
Nope.
Nothing like it. There's been a few made over here that just come nowhere near them.
No, because when you think about what Sunfire does towards the tail end, is it really starts to reduce things. But like, you look at that Sunfire and the tail's more busy than the body.
Yeah, it has almost like a checkered pattern down on the tail.
Yeah,
big black blocks and
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Sunfire Ollie has is doing, but it's doing something good.
No, it's nuts. I remember I showed it to so Dean Turner, the guy who I saw with Retics first in the UK as a child. I was talking to his right hand, like Retic breeding man in his shop. And I showed him a picture of all these Aztecs, and he was like, what the hell's in that then? And I was like, it's an Aztec Sunfire. And they almost cancelled all of their other Aztec plans to try and reproduce what I'd showed them because they couldn't believe it.
That's the Amaretto, right?
That's the Amaretto, yeah.
That
She
snake is incredible.
is a bit of a spicy lady when she wants to be.
Look at that.
I think this is a really good showing of her being really nice and polite and calm. It's why I'm taking my time getting her out. She has a really bad habit of turning back at you once you've nearly got her out of the Viv and coming.
Sounds like my ternates.
That's my anery. Yep, I know the personality too well.
Look at the color.
She's phenomenal, and she's got a lot of good attributes that I think if I can get the Aztec into that will be awesome. Her color palette with the Aztec's pattern, it'd be nuts.
What I like about what you're showing with the handling here is the same way I treat that anery, like because you know how that personality switch can work. You're not letting her get too close to you with her head. Like
no, I let her get
dancing
close
with her a little bit.
Yeah, I let her get close to the arms there.
It's
a lot of spinning, just like I do with her. It's like she's either climbing on something or I'm dancing around.
It's the spin game. The spin game is how you manage a retic like that. You when the head comes towards you, you spin and keep the head away.
Yes, it's the only issue in the shed. Spinning is the best way I've found to get retics back in Vivs.
Yep.
But I've only got about 7 foot by 4 foot, maybe 8 foot by 4 foot to work in the shed. So occasionally I do bonk retics heads against the walls.
It's making my room feel massive right now. I thought I had a small room.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big differences between the UK and US keepers is you guys have like infinitely more space. With being a bigger country, houses tend to be bigger. A lot of you guys seem to just have massive garages anyway. Like that's not that common in the UK.
Mine's 400 square feet. My garage.
Exactly. My shed's 10 foot by 8 foot, and that's all I've got. And then
I got 2 feet on you either side, 12 by 10.
You're living the life of luxury.
He's like, that's my living room.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I live in the countryside. I live in like the kind of the middle of nowhere compared to most people in the UK, and we're still in tiny houses around here. Yeah, we've never expanded.
Oh man.
The one thing with that Amaretto as well that John's never been able to decide, and I don't think she is, but he's always toyed with it. There's a possibility she could have some platinum in her. And the only reason he'll think that is when that thing fires up, the color of it is even more mental. Like
I could almost see that through like her side patterns where the yellow meets her rosettes.
Yeah.
And those side flames, like I could imagine what that thing looks like when it fires up.
Yeah, it's nuts. So he did give it me. He said, I've always just called it an Amaretto, but I've never been able to. Because there's a spectrum in there as well with a lot of things like Sunfire and Platinum. Like, they're not always like so bang on. You can tell immediately.
Yep.
But yeah, she's a gorgeous, gorgeous animal. But like most pretty ladies, the attitude on her's phenomenal. She's one of them. I remove the wedge from the glass, and usually she's struck something in the Viv in that moment. And like,
look at her right there. She for a moment she stopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the things that we'll pick up as guys that keep retics. Like just the slightest opening of a mouth, and you know what she's thinking.
Yeah.
But for most people, it's just like, what have you like? No one could understand how you read a snake.
No, I was watching her go in. After what you were talking about with her, there's a moment where she froze and she paused. And that's where me as a keeper, I'm thinking I need to be on my toes right now because she could come back around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, then she freezes and she looks at you, and when they get square onto you, you know, something not good's going to happen. I do want to add, I was in this first video battling a mic problem. So if anyone notices there's no water bowls in there, and then I was throwing something in the Viv, I was treating them with hot shot strips.
Mm-hmm. You guys are still allowed to have those over there?
I have no idea where they come from. I thought they came from you guys.
They come from us, and we still have them here. I use them, but I figure that they're the chemicals in them are so bad. You guys generally have better better standards over there.
Hey, you
I don't
can't
know.
legally get the amount of lidocaine that I use today, but if you order it from China, you'll get it in the mail eventually.
Yeah, well, I order it from the same eBay guy I've ordered it from for years. So
Nate, what work did you get done today?
Oh, I got a buffalo. It just
Oh,
looks like a
geez.
black blob right now, but yeah.
Nice. Lidocaine for tattoos, eh? That's moving into the modern times.
I've earned enough. I've gotten enough coverage without.
I was gonna say he's got a neck tattoo, for God's sake.
I'm not gonna take the mick. I will take anything to make tattooing easier.
Yeah, if I can sit a little bit longer, I'm using it.
Yeah. There's no way with I've got a sleeve, and you cannot convince me otherwise that tattooing is possibly the worst thing that I get done in a year. It is agonizing, and especially the work that Nathan's got and the stuff I've got, like thick lines and a lot of blacks.
Heavy work.
That's
Thick
not
lines
easy to do.
going through the nipples. Yeah.
Every time.
I'll pass on the nipples. They're too sensitive for me.
Just got to grip that table and run with it.
Yeah. Oh man. Sam, I'm gonna have Nathan pull up your Instagram here, but I want to just give you a huge thanks for coming on and talking about the channel, and drop a plug, let people know where they can follow you and things, and if you have like anything in the works anytime soon, plug that in as well.
Yeah, so you can find me at SSD Retics on Instagram. SSD Retics. I do have Facebook for the snakes, but I'm not as active on there. But if you're a Facebookie, you're more than welcome to add me. And then the YouTube SSD Retics and Reptiles of just me doing what I've done here, which I'm quite good at, which is just waffling absolute nonsense that's got somewhat of a point to it. Whilst I play with big snakes, some of them don't like it, some of them are all right.
I look forward to more there.
Yeah, if you're wanting some more retic content in your time, have a watch. And then that was one more thing I forgot to add that I would just like to mention is that I have got like one passion project that isn't the Aztec or the Anthrax, and that is to reproduce the male I used for the Snow Chino clutch. Obviously, I lost him in the fire. I'd sent him on a breeding loan to Joseph Hegarty just before the fire. I'd literally got him back a couple of months before the fire, and he was awesome. He was the friendliest male retic I've ever had. Mm-hmm. I'd pair him with things, and then when you take him away, they're never happy about it. But he would just, instead of fighting me, he would just straighten out, and he would just stay fully straight. He'd never strike. He would just be uncomfortable in my hands until I put him away, and then he'd be back chilled again. He was awesome. So I've got in the rack next to me a golden child, a marble, and then a really funky tiger that we can't figure out how we've made it and what's going on in it. But we're hoping
I think Luke sent me pictures of that snake and was like, what do you see here?
Yeah, we're thinking it might be some kind of weird pathoiness that's gone on within the clutch, but we put a GC to a marble tiger and we've made a super tiger. So the only way I can figure it out. But yeah, so we're going to hopefully once they get mature and to size, I'll be making some slightly higher percentage versions of that Mochino GC, which would be really cool because there's a cool snake.
Yeah, that's got the sentimental value from, that snake that died in the fire and being able to continue with the offspring. So that's exciting. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's it. There's a few other irons in the fire as well. Hopefully picking up some 50% Calitoa ocelots at some point.
Okay.
That would be really cool. Fortunately, another guy, he doesn't live, most of the good reptile keepers live miles from me, which is just, luck of the draw. But there is a guy about an hour away who's got a phenomenal collection called Mark Loudon. You might see him. Mark's cool. And he's interesting. He's even more northern than I am. So if you were to speak to him, you wouldn't understand a word he said. But yeah, he's on with some cool stuff over there too. So glad to be a part of it.
Awesome. That's exciting, man. Once you get those projects on the ground, we'll have you back on. I'd love to talk about some of the clutches that you start to produce. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back in the game, and I'm glad that people are there to support and wrap around you. And And yeah, I think that's huge. I think you got some really, really awesome. I mean, between what you got going on, all he has going on, and Luke and the animals that you guys are working with, you guys have some really cool stuff in the works.
Yeah, no, 100%. We do often feel like we're a bit behind you guys when it comes to this stuff, but there's a few things that people have got that I'm not going to like dive too deeply into that. Yeah, really could be some special stuff in the next couple of years out of the UK. So fingers crossed. And then who knows, it might amazingly appear somewhere in the US like it always seems to.
Yeah. Like 10 years after, it generally makes its way over here.
Yeah. Yeah, someone's smuggled a few over somehow, some way. Yeah, craziness.
They must swim.
They must swim. Yeah.
Well, we know they swim.
Exactly.
Just that far.
All right, Sam. Appreciate you coming on.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me, guys.
Stick around for just a second. I have a totally off-topic question for you after, but I'll make it quick. But yeah, thanks for being on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
All right.
All right. Another UK one in the books, keeping those UK keepers up late just to talk about retics.
I got to convince Ollie to come on at this time. That'd be impossible, but we'll see.
Yeah, we have a list of people out there, and then next step Indo.
Yeah, we definitely need to get someone from there on. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Probably our next episode is we're gonna wrap up the book club, and we'll do the last few chapters and finally get that done, and we'll probably have that one out for you in a couple weeks. But until our next one, we'll see you later.